Jake Paul has done incredible things in boxing. No, he hasn't won a world title. And no, he hasn't actually beaten a full-time professional boxer, but come on. He's beaten a string of combat sports legends. Sure, most were retired, and yes, most were MMA fighters who boxed like accountants, but let's not forget, this is a guy who was making Vine videos for Disney not long ago. So, say what you will, but he talks the talk and he mostly walks the walk. And he's not shy about saying things that make your eyebrows try to escape your forehead. For example, what kind of cruiserweight with a handful of fights calls out Anthony Joshua, a two-time unified heavyweight champion who could probably knock out an SUV?
No, I'm definitely not a heavyweight, but I'm still going to take the challenge. But, you know, you look at Deontay Wilder, he was beating these guys weighing 215 pounds. So anything is granted he's like 6'6" or something, but anything's possible.
So Paul's comparing himself to 6'7" Deontay Wilder, a man with 10 heavyweight title defenses and a right hand like Thor's hammer. Paul can punch, but not like that. No one can. And when Wilder was the knockout king, Joshua was the guy most likely to punch a soul into the astral plane if Wilder didn't get there first. And Joshua is even bigger than Wilder. We don't have footage of Paul standing next to AJ, but we do have Paul standing beside MMA heavyweight giants Francis Ngannou and Renan Ferreira. Or is that below them? Seriously, he looks like a Wimbledon ball boy who got confused when somebody said Grand Slam. Now check out Joshua standing next to Ngannou. He's even bigger, and Ngannou made Paul look like some sort of Lord of the Rings forced perspective optical illusion camera trick.
I won't say too much, but he brings two arms, a body, like every other fighter does. But it's just his mind that's different to everyone. Everyone has their own unique, like, they're unique in their own way. But in terms of the frame and the makeup of someone, he's seen people like me, I've seen people like him many a times before. But it's just his mind that I'll have to conquer in the ring. You have to take someone's soul, you have to take their spirit. And I'm looking forward to the challenge for sure. And that's it really. It's gonna be good. It's going to be explosive. Got many ways to skin a cat. I can counter punch, he can counter punch. We can both box, as he's proven himself too. And we can both trade. And it was going to be a good fight.
It wasn't good. AJ vaporized Ngannou with one of the cleanest, coldest knockouts of the decade, just 1 year before Jake decided to go full Tropic Thunder and call him out.
I like the challenge. People, that's the criticism. Fight someone in their prime, who's a beast. I think people just want to see me lose. That's really what the message is behind it all. And Anthony Joshua is an insane fight, but I want that challenge. We've been DMing back and forth. He wants to make it happen. He called me up, and it's looking very likely for next year.
It sounds completely absurd. Paul fighting AJ. Until you remember that this is the guy who announced he'd fight 58-year-old Mike Tyson in a live-streamed mega event on Netflix when Netflix didn't even do live sports. And then it happened. And it was absolutely massive. Jake Paul says he's going to do something, and he does it. So why haven't we seen Paul in the cage yet?
I've officially signed as an MMA fighter to the fastest growing sports league in the world. The PFL, baby.
Jake Paul joined forces with the Professional Fighters League MMA promotion and announced that he's going to compete with them. But that was in 2023. Since then, we've heard crickets. Maybe we should ask Clarissa Shields how her transition from the sweet science to the mixed martial arts went. The self-proclaimed GWOAT of boxing decided she'd conquer MMA too, and the PFL welcomed her with open arms. But her opponents welcomed her with a closed guard.
And Clarissa Shields, nobody on our PFL roster has the credentials like you. 3-division champion in the world of boxing, 2-time Olympic gold medalist, as I already mentioned, and you're risking the reputation and everything else to join the mixed martial arts world right in the prime of your boxing career. You take on someone who's far more experienced than you. What should we expect?
Hard work can never just be for nothing. So I feel like all my hard work has got me to where I am today. That's how I got this position to be the main event. In just my MMA debut, I would have been perfectly fine being the TV opener or being under Anthony Pettis. I wouldn't have cared. But the fact now that I'm the main event, I feel like I have to bring something a little extra. So we definitely worked on that up in camp. And regardless of everything, just my overall goal is to one day be MMA world champ and be boxing champ.
T-Rex had real firepower with their hands and lit people up when she could keep it on the feet. That was bound to happen. She's arguably the best boxer women's boxing has ever seen. But grappling? That's where it all fell apart. 3 opponents, none of them elite, but they all tossed around like a white belt with an attitude problem. She went 2-1 before admitting on a live broadcast that it was too hard to focus on all the extra skills you need for a championship MMA career while maintaining a championship boxing career. And that's an all-time great boxer after fighting some MMA tomato cans. Jake Paul is basically still an amateur boxer, and he was staring down the barrel of a rematch with MMA icon Nate Diaz, who Paul couldn't finish in Diaz's pro boxing debut. Stockton's favorite son had wins over Conor McGregor, Tony Ferguson, and Donald Cerrone. He fought Jorge Masvidal for the inaugural BMF title. He was seconds away from finishing Leon Edwards. Nate Diaz would have murdered Jake Paul in an MMA fight, which is probably why Paul priced him out of a rematch.
We've made offers. You know, Nate Diaz ducked it. It's just about having the right name, and I'm ready. I want an MMA fight. I think it'd be super, super fun. I don't think a boxer in their prime has gone over to MMA. You see a lot of the MMA fighters go into a boxing match like Francis, like McGregor, but I want to be one of the first to go over into MMA and take a massive risk and see my skills, bring out the old wrestling. But I'm down. I just want a big name and a big fight.
He could have a big-name fighter in a heartbeat, but Paul doesn't want to fight with an elite-level MMA fighter. That's especially so now because Paul finally seems laser-focused on facing legitimate boxers, like he did when he beat a former world champion in Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., just a few years out from Paul being a clown on the internet.
I don't even think I was a fighter then. I was like 2.5 years into the sport. And I didn't really know what I was doing. I didn't have the proper team around me, the proper conditioning. My lifestyle outside of the ring was still that of like a YouTuber, celebrity actor, whatever I was at that point in time. So I wasn't fully focused on boxing. Like I said, feels like chapter 1's done tonight. Now we're moving into chapter 2, and I'm just getting warmed up in this sport.
Thanks for watching. And remember, if you want more fight sports in your life, just hit the subscribe button.